expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Aloha and welcome to Be Fit for Health. This is Biyanka, your host. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you're having a lovely morning and everything is going your way. Today we're having another great show. It's always a great show, and I'm really excited to have all my guests as usual. Today's no exception. We talked before briefly about energy medicine with Kelly Nash Montagne with the electroecoscope when it comes to vibrational medicine, sound therapy, anything that has to do with that kind of technology, which can measure your body, whether it's in, a CAT scan or MRI or ultrasounds, things like that, which is so fascinating to me because you kind of get the idea of seeing what your body looks like internally without really cutting yourself open, which is really, really, really exciting, right? I mean, I think back in the dark ages, or maybe Chinese medicine was like at its peak during the kingdoms of their era, when they were practicing acupuncture and surgery for the first time because they were ahead of their time. They never probably would have thought about having such technology where you can actually see your inside without cutting yourself open. So this technology is advanced much, much more so because there are things like electro microscope, which can actually take a look at your nervous system to see if it's actually functioning at optimal levels. I mean, this kind of stuff is insane. Today we're going to be talking with someone who actually is working with something like that along the lines, and also has, a degree and background in doctorate of physical therapy. But right now she's in charge at the Wahiawa General Hospital. She's in charge of the Ancillary Services there. So she deals with the outpatients and takes care of their needs after the effect. And we're really lucky to have Linda Kurihara. Are you online?
Hi, Biyanka.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for taking. I know you're busy today, and I appreciate you, coming on board and filling us with some of your knowledge because, again, there's always something to be learned. I think even though we may be experts in our fields, there's always something to be learned and to grow from. And my purpose of the show, which I've always been reiterating because there's always new people coming on to listen to the show, is to educate the public with what we have options for their health. So when it comes to like either technology that helps with pain or traditional, like with you physical therapy. Their physical therapy has new technologies, I'm sure advancements that you can share with us too, because, we don't just traditionally go in and get like, what is it called, those stimulus TENS units or, maybe rotational physical therapy with, exercises. You guys do other things too now. So, but let's get to know you, Linda. What exactly do you do as far as in Wahiawa General Hospital?
So, again, thank you so much for having me on the show. It's very exciting for me because it's always great to be able to just talk with those that are interested, but also just to educate the public. I'm the director of Ancillary Services, as you mentioned. So what that means is I oversee any ancillary services could include pretty much all the extra services that you would need to make your health more comprehensive, bigger picture for the physician. So that includes, like you mentioned, rehabilitation, which is physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy, diagnostic imaging, like you mentioned, CT, X-rays, mammograms. I mean, the list goes on. Cardiopulmonary is another one, as well as laboratory. So those are essentially the I like to call it the Power Four of how we just help get the bigger picture of every patient person that walks through the door, whether it be inpatient as well as outpatient.
Wow, that's a lot. It's not just you. I'm sure you have a team, right?
Oh, absolutely.
That would be exhausting. But yeah, that's
exactly. I need as much help as I can.
Yeah,
But
one man show doesn't cut it. You see a lot of people, I'm sure. So it's Wahiawa General Hospital has got a really good reputation. I mean, I know it's far out from Honolulu, obviously, but there's a big community there. You guys take care of a lot of people, and I do miss Wahiawa. I used to work out there for a short minute, and I enjoyed the culture there because it reminds me of old Hawaii. People there are family units. They take care of each other. They're very aloha. When it comes to the way they treat each other. So I love Wahiawa. But when it comes to the hospital, this it's a great hospital, and people don't realize it. It's got everything you could possibly need there. But your unit, what you take care of, it's interesting because I'm curious to see how you guys approach now when it comes to physical limitations. What do you guys do with someone who had got surgery on the shoulder, or had a car accident, has whiplash. Now, how are you guys taking care of them now versus how it was, many years ago? Because, like I said, technology has changed.
Right, and I think a lot of times, and like you mentioned, the culture here is amazing, and I think it's so unique, not just to Hawaii, but just to the rest of the world in the sense that it is old Hawaii, but
Yeah.
um, we're also not just staying with the old. We do have innovative, like essentially keeping up with the times, right?
Right.
And medicine, you have to. It has to be evidence based. And so, to answer your question, we're doing the full comprehensive care package. So whatever your needs are, we are aware of it. We take care of it. We get the right experts in. We have a great emergency room, and all the services that we have. If for some reason we are unable to do it in the manner that we would like to, we all have a workaround to it. So again, we have all the images. We have again the experts that is needed. You just come into your emergency room. We'll take care of you. So I wouldn't say I would go into too many details, but it's the idea that I think a lot of people think old Hawaii, that must mean we're not keeping up with the times.
Right. Right.
Right. And I think that's the strong message I want to get it out to everybody is that just would be a disservice to our community, and
Right.
that's not what we want. And so, I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have everything that we need or that we would like to have, like with any hospital, but obviously there's always a workaround to it, and we are prepared for it. We are here to just ready and serve the best possible medicine to our community. And so, and which is why we're constantly just trying to innovate and keep up with the times, which every hospital needs to do that.
Especially now, right, with the COVID-19 pandemic, with people, getting sick, and you've got an older generational group there too.
Oh,
I'm sure. I mean, do you guys have that protocol in place as well with all the necessary tools?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not prepared, it, well, in other words, the question is, it's not a question of whether we're not prepared. It's we are prepared, as we all, as the whole island, the whole world has been preparing. And I think it's so important for every hospital to know your demographic, and we are very clear on our demographic, which is why we make sure there's no crossovers. Even our employees, we try our best to not cross over because we have that geriatric population that is at high risk. And so we're also unique in the sense that we also have a nursing facility as part of our hospital. So we make sure no one crosses over. And so it's, to me, I think it's great because we should be doing this anyways, right?
Right. Yeah.
If you think about it, it's,
Hmm.
even hand washing. I
Great.
think, yeah, we all should have been doing hand washing before, but it's like, well, this is great. Now it puts it more on the radar with what we should be doing, but also before it's like maybe we got away with it, but now it's tightening it up even further, and I think it's great.
Well, I think people should take a class in microbiology just one semester, because once you do that, you're screwed up for the rest of your life. Because the last thing you want to do is touch anything that has germs in it. No, it's really crazy because my professor was really funny. He's like, after you're done with the semester, guys, don't be surprised if you don't become a germophobic because you'll have Clorox underneath your bathroom sink and your kitchen sink. Clorox bottles will be everywhere just because you want to disinfect everything all the time. Because it's crazy. You do a test of in a petri dish, and we did a test with handshaking, right? And then you do a swab on your hand, and you put the swab onto the petri dish and wait 24 hours to see what kind of cultures grow. And then you find out there's all these different types of microbes that become, very flourishes in their colonies. And you're looking at this going, oh my gosh, what do I have? I have staph, strep. You have all these types of things. They're called, was it staphylococcus, strep, all these kind of weird names.
Right.
As long as you don't have E. coli, that's the main thing, right? Because that's a really bad one. Which means that you went to the restroom and didn't wash your hands. That's the bad part. So you don't want that. But everyone has their natural flora, which is your own back microbes, and then you have the transient, which is not a good stuff because this is where you touch surfaces and that's where you pick up. But at the same time, too, I don't want people to be too germophobic because if you don't get, we're always combating bacteria and viruses, and we are. Our bodies are constantly battling this stuff. This is why we have a good immune system set up. We have a good system, period, set up. It's just that when you have compromised situations, those people are the ones that need to be very, very careful because then their underlying situation becomes even worse because they have this new foreign particle in their system that can cause havoc in their body.
Right. And, it's interesting that you brought that up because as a hospital, even before COVID-19, those are things that, like you were mentioning, all these other infections or viruses, those were already on the radar, which we already had protocols involved to make sure that doesn't spread within the hospital. So I think a lot of time people think because we're in COVID-19, I don't want to go to the hospital. But in reality, the hospital is in many of the areas that that is considered safe because we already have those protocols in line. And in addition to that, at Wahiawa General Hospital, we're definitely taking all the safety precautions recommended by the CDC as well as the state. So it's the idea that I think a lot of people think, okay, hospital, that has to be dirty, but those protocols were already in place because fortunately or unfortunately, depends on how you look at it, the microbes were already there, right? Those were concerns that we're already dealing with or want to avoid. Yeah, so it's just kind of changing or adding in more precautions to our routines and our training to make sure that we're properly just ready and keeping it safe for everybody.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like, I'm in the fitness industry and I have been for most of my life, actually. It's crazy to think of how long I've been doing this. But as a personal trainer, the industry's changed. It's so sad to me because of this pandemic. Gyms are closed. Like, I work for the Honolulu Club. That just recently shut down after 40 years. Can you imagine? An iconic place now is no longer going to be open because people are afraid to work out in multiple group settings and like you guys, a lot of the facilities out there are taking precautions to make sure the safety of people's existence while they're in that facility. But you can't guarantee anything. In anything in life, you can't guarantee it, but you can do the best you can by following these steps and protocols. And I think the stigma is put into people's minds because you guys are in Wahiawa, because it's like old Hawaii. They might be thinking, oh, you guys don't have those protocols in place like they might be in Queens or Straub. But in fact, you guys do because you have to. This is part of your guys' job description now.
Right, and it's just so important, I think, to remember that when you're going to the supermarket, you can't control others, right?
No.
And for the most part, I think the markets and other retail businesses are definitely implementing as best as they can.
Sure.
But we're making it a culture here that if you're not wearing your mask or you're not social distancing or you're not doing the protocols that we have instilled in our hospital, then we have a protocol to that as well.
Right.
So it's the idea that we are creating accountability, but to each other as well as ourselves. So in that sense, it is controlled as because we're trying to focus on what we can control.
Right.
And I
Exactly.
think and there's that other piece that you mentioned in the gym. People are scared to get COVID-19, but at the same time, a lot of other parts of their health is being compromised.
Yeah, because it's an essential. People don't get it. You have to physically exercise to bring your body to a place of health. Maybe not overly exercise, but some kind of
Right.
fitness.
Right. We want to build up our immune system,
Right.
especially at a time like this. And
Right.
so I think that's why, well, there's a lot of outpatient services that can also, that will help you better your health, which is why we want to say, please, if you have routine services that you need, please make it a priority. I mean, make your health a priority. And I think that's a hard thing to juggle. Obviously, it's if you're worried about COVID for one thing, but I guess the best thing we can focus on is if you go to a facility that is well controlled in that end, then that's the safest
Yeah.
situation possible, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's what we just want to emphasize
Yeah,
to the public.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And and having integrity and knowing the place that you're going to too, as well as, understanding that, trusting the establishment to do right by you is important too. And so you need to have the trust of the community as well to keep you,
Mhm.
in business, because even though you're in a hospital, it's still a business and you guys have to thrive and you need to keep going. And today's economy is a
Mm.
little scary because of all the shutdowns that has occurred. People
Right.
are afraid, they don't know what's happening. You know, Hospitals are safe, gyms for the most part are safe. If you got to use your common sense, and you should be okay. But let me take a really quick break, Linda. I'm gonna just kind of do a 15-second break, and when I come back, I want to talk to you about, we're still on Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to talk to you a little bit about the technology you guys are using there for mammograms and things like that, and what you experience, and
Sure.
the outpatient part of it too, and that good stuff. So hang tight, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
You don't need to be a member of a gym to get your health and fitness back on track. Be Fit for You with a Be Fit for Health online personal training and nutrition program. With 30 years of personal training experience, Biyanka will help you better yourself and be fit for health. For more information or to schedule a free wellness consultation, visit befit4health.com for more.
Okay, we're back with Linda Kurihara. I hope I'm saying that right. Is that correct?
Yes.
All
Yep,
right,
that's
good.
correct.
She's at Wahiawa General Hospital, and she basically does the ancillary services there for the patients, and she's also a board certified physical therapist. But she's a doctorate of board certified physical therapist. She's not just a physical therapist. That's kind of important. You did the extra work, so you deserve that
Oh.
recognition. So we want to talk a little bit about, just briefly, just about what you guys are doing in Wahoo when it comes to the mammograms. Like, what are you guys using, the old technology when it comes to the screening, or are you guys up and dated with the new procedures that are out there?
Well, it is the new. So again, it's October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We just want to highlight how important it is. So here at Wahiawa, we have the latest diagnostic technology available.
Okay.
Wahiawa General Hospital was one of the first hospitals in Hawaii to offer breast cancer screening with three-dimensional.
Nice.
Usually it's done in two-dimensional. So we do a three-dimensional full-field digital mammogram. And it's I just want to emphasize that you know breast cancer is the second leading cause of cancer death amongst women, exceeded only by lung cancer. So the earlier you detect it, your survival rate is so much higher. So, which is why we felt so committed to getting the most up-to-date technology. With this up-to-date technology, why it's so great is it's a low-dose X-ray, and it moves an arc over the breast. And so the computer is able to put the images together in a series of thin slices. And so this allows the doctors to see the breast tissues more clearly in those dimensions. And so the various three-dimensional also lowers the chance of being called back for follow-up testing, and it definitely detects more breast cancers. And several studies have shown that it's helpful in women with more dense tissues. And I just want to point that out because a lot of dense tissue breasts are common in the Asian population, and especially in the population that we serve here around the communities here. I just want to emphasize why, if you have that choice, you want to go for that three-dimensional, um, because if the technology is not suited to detect it in the environment that you're given, then it does call for more follow-up testing or
Right.
hopefully not like a false positive or even a false negative, right?
Right.
So it's the idea that testing is just as important rather than just saying, hey, I'm going to get a mammogram done.
Yeah, because you never know. I mean, it's not even about just genetics anymore. It's your environment can cause a lot of riffraff, your stresses in your body. People don't realize that. God, our bodies react to a lot of things, and when we're under a lot of pressure and stress, like a lot of people are this year, especially, you don't know what your body's capable of doing.
Right.
So you don't want to take risks with your health. So it's always good to follow up yearly if that's what your doctor wants you to do.
Mhm.
Um, I actually made the mistake, and being honest, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I didn't go for 3 years because, genetically, I don't have that in my family. And I've always been good. Like every test I've taken has been excellent. And, it's just one of those things. But, I went finally and had a test done, and they saw something that was very minuscule, but it's most likely benign. But they want me to go and get a test again in 6 months.
Mhm.
So guess what? I'm going to go again and get tested in 6 months because I'm not going to play with my health.
It's like going to the dentist, right?
Right.
It's like you don't want to go
Not
to the
really.
dentist.
It kind of is not so fun though. I'm sorry.
Okay, I will.
The
I will.
squishing part is not fun. I'm sorry.
It isn't, and I'll get into that too. But it's the idea that the point I wanted to say is that when you go to the dentist, you don't want to go when it's already bad, right?
Right.
it,
Exactly.
and it's good if you go to the dentist and your dentist say, hey, everything looks great. It's like, oh, okay. So I want folks to remember mammograms. You don't want to just go just because until you feel like you're going to get not a great answer. You want to go when with the knowledge of, hey, everything looks good. Okay, let's keep it up. And it's the idea that because it's such an uncomfortable test, and we understand it's such a vulnerable area that here at Wahiawa General Hospital, we dedicated a wing of an area just for the mammograms, and just like the rest of the hospital, we try to make it as convenient for everybody. It's free parking, and especially in the month of October, we're extending hours, so it's more
Oh,
convenient
good.
for those, that are working. So because we understand it's not a desirable test that I think a lot of people would do as routinely as other tests like the dentist. So we understand it, but we also understand the importance of it. So
Yeah, it's not. I don't want to scare people that may have never done it before. It's just that like any other visit that maybe like you're saying the dentist is a great example. Not everybody likes going to the dentist either. I mean,
right,
but once you get over that little hump of introduction of whatever they have to do, you're kind of like, okay, and let's just get this thing going.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. No,
So
definitely.
but yeah, but the technologies are incredible because I know that you guys are doing so many other things too. Because you were telling me briefly about another scan that's really cool that I love because this is more in the field for you and field for me is when it comes to bone, right? Because here we are working out to create a good bone density as we age, especially for the elderly because they lose more solid mass of their bones. They start becoming more brittle. So what what's the name of the technology you were telling me about that you guys use to scan that?
um, the best way, I'll just do the acronym, is DEXA scans.
Okay, so
So it's a bone,
DEXA.
yeah, DEXA, bone density scan, um, and it's an X-ray, but it's a way to measure your bones in terms of if there's any bone loss. So it's able to detect um, how much bone loss as well as where the bone loss is in your body,
Wow,
which is
that's
pretty
crazy.
crazy, right? But
So
um,
how deep does it go though? I mean, like how does it? What does it? Obviously, you can't see through a bone, does it? I mean, it's not like that, is it?
can you say that again?
It
Could
doesn't
it
go
be?
see through a bone, does it?
So you can literally see the mapping of your whole body. It'll just kind of scan your whole body, and you could see. It's almost like you know when you go through like those thermorays or heat, and it can detect where more heat from your body
Right.
is coming from.
Right.
It's essentially almost like that, where it can see more of bone density within your bones.
Got you. So this
And
differentials.
yeah, definitely. And it's so important, especially if you're in the age of, if you were to fall or have any any incident to occur, where would you be more likely to fracture? And as we know, as we get older, the bone density in our hips and our lower back, and pelvis area, it goes less and less. And so, which is why when we hear of a lot of elders when they fall, you hear them, fracturing their hip,
Right.
which is so debilitating. And so, if you do these DEXA scans, they can tell you if you're at high risk or where the bone loss is, and what you can do about it. And the best way is, what if it is vitamins, but it's also exercising. Research has shown that if you exercise more focused around the area where the bone loss is, that drives more bone density growth. And so it's the idea of just being educated and knowing if things are going well, and if it's not, what you can do about it.
So, um, you guys use this for everything then, I'm assuming, like for any type of shoulder injuries or any type of, for young or old, right? It's not like a specific just for the older generation. It's for everything.
Right, right. It's definitely something that your doctor will have to order, but um, more it's not, yeah, exactly. It can go towards any age. And what's more, I think, interesting about DEXA scan is also can do a body composition measurement,
Mhm.
and it could look at your body fat, your muscle mass, your bones. So it's something that can just give you a lot of feedback of your health
Oh,
in
that's
general.
great. So is it like, is it huge? Is it a big machine?
Um, kind of. It kind of depends on who you talk to, but
Is,
it's not like a gigantic, crazy.
is it like a CAT scan machine or those MRI machines where you have
Yeah,
to go
very
through?
similar. Hmm.
So is this something that
Small.
insurance would cover?
Yeah, some insurances do. So that's why we definitely say have that discussion with your physician if that's something that I would first ask your physician, is that something you would want me to do? And if not, and why not? Just have that discussion. And if it's something that you want to do out of pocket, definitely look into your insurance and see if they can cover it.
Do you have a rough estimation what it would cost without insurance?
No, I wouldn't be able to tell you that off the bat.
That's really interesting because something like that would be so helpful for so many people that have any type of ailments. It's not just for people who have injuries. I mean, people who have fibromyalgia like me. If they have arthritis, you want to see if their muscles are intact. There was a test that I did in Santa Barbara once where the rheumatoid arthritis specialist was like, let's do a scan on you. And he measured my muscles and he basically sat me down and said, look, it's black. So that means I don't see any white spots, which means that all your muscles are intact. It looks healthy. You don't have any like tears or you don't have any opening spots or anything like that, which would indicate that there is some kind of dysfunction in the muscle tissue itself. So I thought that was really, really interesting. This is going back 2007. But I'm assuming that these technologies have gotten even better by now, you
Oh
know.
yeah,
So
absolutely. I should say, if you're doing it for the bone density, you do need a doctor's order. But if you want it more for the body composition, again, it varies so much. So I don't want to give out the wrong information. But
right.
we highly recommend that you just give us a call, and we'll look into your insurance. We can help you with that, and see if that's what your insurance requires for that
Do you
purpose
do
for
you
the
do
body
it head to toe or is it just from the neck down?
composition. Yep, head to toe.
So what do you see in the head?
Not for the body fat composition.
Obviously, maybe a fat head, right?
I was like, oh no, 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 for the body composition. Oh, I wonder how much fat and muscle I have in there.
Do you have a brain?
That
What?
would be
It,
surprising if it was.
I
If
always
there
tell
was,
people if I did a brain scan, I was like, "Oh, I have a brain. It's official. It's
right?
recorded."
You don't look at anything else. I just want to see if I have a brain.
It's all good. Yeah, exactly. This is gonna make this. I'm not making this up. Um, so that's kind of interesting. So you guys have like this is what I'm saying. Wahiawa General. People don't realize it. This is a great hospital because you guys do have some technologies that I haven't heard of here in town. Maybe we have it here in town. I don't know, but none of my specialists have said anything about this. Or said, "Hey, would you like to do a body scan to see whether or not, in fact, your bones are intact, or if you're losing too much?" I mean, because I'm not old, but I'm not very young either. So,
Right,
I
right.
don't want to age myself, but it's like I want to make sure because I have fibromyalgia that
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going in the downslope. I'm actually staying at least even, or to see where I would need to improve. So let's say a patient finds out that they're not doing well. Let's say a patient finds out that their bones aren't doing well, and or their muscle tissue is not as good as it should be. What would you what do you guys do next?
So definitely, what I would say is have that discussion with your primary care physician, and because I wouldn't know your whole um, your background, your medical background, but it's the idea that you need to have that conversation first with your primary care physician, and if they're on board and saying, yeah, let's look into this more, or they do lab tests and say, hey, what else can we do? To me, that's where you need to have an extended discussion about which specialist can I go to address this even more. And that is the whole purpose of your doctor, trying to identify what they can do to help you further and send you to the right specialist. And so, in that situation, the question is, should I get physical therapy or should I do more imaging tests to confirm um, further? Another thing is some physicians will want you to do certain tests to see what it looks like before you had treatment. And let's say you do have physical therapy to address that issue, and then you want to do the test again afterwards to see if there's any changes. And there's so many ways that we can go about it, but it's the idea that you can do something about it. But it needs to start with that conversation with you having that discussion with your primary care doctor. I guess a lot of folks just want to do whatever their doctor tells them to do.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, I won't speak for all doctors, but I know with most of the great doctors I've worked with, they want to hear what's on your mind. But if you're not going to speak up, they don't know how to help you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The doctors aren't psychic. They're not going to be able to figure out, or they can't. They're not like Superman. They can scan your body and just sit there while you're talking and say, "Oh, this is what's wrong with you." I mean,
Right.
you literally do have to pay attention to what's happening with you and take notes if you need to keep a journal so you forget of some of the symptoms you may have. Because telling a doctor your symptoms, it helps them to kind of formulate and guide you to the direction in which you need to go. Because symptoms can help too, based on blood work is one thing, but then when you have symptoms that kind of contradict the blood work,
Mhm.
something else might be going on that they need to know.
Right, and there's all these other ancillary services that can help guide you and your doctor further, right? And so, my whole point is not to say, hey, you should be telling the doctor what to do. It's like know what services are out there, and please have that discussion with your doctor because um, it's sparking an interest in you because you know that there's something of interest that can help you with that, right? So
Right.
have that discussion with your doctor, and don't be afraid to say, hey, what do you think about a bone density scan or a DEXA scan? Do you think that can help in this situation? I mean,
Right.
it's the idea of just bouncing off ideas, seeing if it's appropriate for you. There's so many other services that we offer, cardiopulmonary, and even with rehab, a lot of folks don't know modified barium swallow test. It's an X-ray that can see how you swallow if you have issues, and we do a lot of these exams, especially in the elderly population that are choking a lot.
Hmm.
And so
What
it's a
causes
question
that? I
of,
wonder.
yeah, like why are they choking? And so a modified barium swallow is we have our speech therapist in with our X-ray techs, and then they literally in live motion sees your throat as you swallow different types of textured food, and you could see what's happening and why they're choking. And so this is something that we try to highlight to a lot of physicians to say, hey, if your patients are having difficulty choking, because last thing you want to do is if they choke and it goes into their lungs,
Right.
then it leads to other issues. And so you want to get that addressed as soon as possible.
I wonder if it's like a sphincter problem that's causing them not to be able to swallow properly, because the stomach can sometimes indicate what happens to the esophagus, right? And then the esophagus can cause some kind of, like a momentary, numbness. I don't know. I mean, it could be like just kind of plays dead for a minute. I'm just being really layman. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just assuming, because
Oh,
I've had
absolutely.
instances where I couldn't swallow, and I'm thinking, because I have slight acid reflux, so I'm thinking, maybe it's my stomach isn't letting me, swallow anything down to it.
Right. And I'm not a speech therapist, but when I speak with our speech therapists, I mean there's so many factors, but it's the idea that not only will they be able to identify the possible issue, is that you can receive more speech therapy treatment. So depending on what the issue is, they can give you pointers or exercises, and they may be able to even tell you directly, like, hey, you know what, you can't have these type of foods because it's going to make you vulnerable to choking, so you need to start with this. There's so many
Soft foods.
ad- yeah, advices and just education on it, but in addition to that, treatment to get you better. So I mean there's so many cool things out there. I mean, to me, it's so fascinating and cool. But it's the idea that a lot of folks, I just wish everybody knew that there are more solutions out there than you think.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have a suggestion. Like, how do you have people find these options? Like, and besides listening to shows like this, obviously, but I've been doing myself. I listen to a lot of medical YouTubes. Like the seminars that doctors go to. They listen to these like lectures and things like that on the newest technology. Let's say on stem cell, or on how to treat fibromyalgia, because I have to. That's one of my interests, right? Because that's what I'm dealing with. But if you have like osteoporosis, what are some other things that you can take? You were saying too, maybe some medications can cause issues too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can put you in a position where you could be osteoporosis prone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
And
I mean, how is it possible that some of these cause that though? I mean, some of these like you were saying corticosteroid and like steroids, you saying basically cause that?
corticosteroid for
Yeah,
the bone loss.
yeah,
Oh, I mean, definitely that's one of the factors. I mean, there's so many varying factors. That's why you want to start off with your primary care physician and have that discussion. I think what's great that you do, Bianca, is that you research it and you're very proactive. And it's good to feed and bounce off of it with a doctor that you trust, and absolutely would love to just have further conversations. The other part that you had a question is how do you keep up with all the information and what's out there? And I
yeah.
would say, so for us, in addition to trying to educate and let physicians know that we have these services, we definitely put this on our website as well. For all the ancillary services, we write out all the information of what the purpose is for all these procedures, as well, just so that the public and the community to know that there's a vehicle that they can go to as well to start that conversation with their physician. And I'd like to always say, ancillary services. I mean, this is our expertise. There's no way a single individual can know all everything, right? Even
No,
even
no,
even your primary care physician will probably admit, there's no way I know all this,
no.
but at least I know who to send it to that may know more of the answer. So I think the biggest thing is being proactive, educate yourself. On our end, what we're trying to do is making that available within our website, just so that if you are interested, you have the information there. Um,
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're in that community, right? Like the people that live in your area,
right.
where
Hmm.
else are they going to go? They don't want to drive into Honolulu, so they need to know what they have as an option in their community. I mean, you'll find that most people when they come home, they don't want to leave, and then if they're going to leave to
Yeah.
go grocery shopping, or whatever, they don't want to go further than 2 miles from their home radius, or 5 miles max. So if you have a hospital that's legit in your area, you should know what they offer, because it's not just a hospital for
Right.
emergency. They have doctors' offices in there. They have
Right. Right.
specialists
Right.
in there. You go and see. A lot of my physicians are in hospitals, so they work in these medical offices there. So, it's kind of interesting because I know there's with all that you're saying too, but when it comes to you guys also provide physical therapy there, which is really interesting. That's your area. So, it's interesting. So the doctors do the surgery, and then they send them over to your department of physical
Mm-hmm.
therapy, and your physical therapists there take care of them. Is there any new technology right now in physical therapy world that I don't know about?
Oh, I wouldn't know where to begin, but
Start somewhere, man. We got time. If you don't have time, let me know. But we got time.
I mean, I will say one thing is physical therapy has, I mean, the education and diversity of what we can do has brought in so much over the last 20 years. And so I think one thing I'll mention is vestibular. Um, Most people don't understand that if you have any vestibular vertigo issues, physical therapy can help with that.
Hmm,
Again, a lot of people don't know that. So, I mean, obviously, vertigo is such a broad term, but
right.
um, even physicians, we're trying to let physicians know, hey, um, we can help with that. And I think a lot of times, if you have vertigo, you go see your doctor and they go, oh, well, just give it some time and it'll go away. And a lot of times, depending on what type of vertigo it is, it won't ever sometimes go away. It might get less, but there is an actual way to treat it. And that's what we do here, especially. And we want to emphasize that it's not actually a fancy technology tool. The tool is your eyes, it's the physical therapist's eyes to see um, into your eyes how that vertigo is operating. So,
Is it because of the optic nerve, or is it because of the cervical vertebrae? What part of the cause could it be that causes that issue for people to have that vertigo?
again, it's so much. It's such a widespread issue. But if I were to pinpoint, let's say, what's called a BPPV, that is not dealing with your optic nerve. It's just a response in your eye that occurs from your inner ear. There's these crystals in your inner
Mm,
ear,
right.
and once they are in the wrong canal, what they'll do is they'll trigger a response that you could see through the eyes. And so
Interesting.
a trained individual can identify which canal it may be. And so again, having that discussion, this is a type of vertigo. So having that discussion is very important to first start off with your physician. And if your physician isn't too sure, feel free to just say, hey, what do you think about physical therapy for that? And again, we just want to emphasize that because this is education to everybody. And to answer your question, um, medicine is always constantly improving, innovating, and so it is hard to keep up with it. So it's the idea just keep constantly have that conversation. What can we do about it? Look into your community, what services are around you, and outpatient services are a lot of that. If it's not something that requires you to quickly go to the emergency room, you want to look at the outpatient services because that's where all the different specialties will start kind of coming in, and that's something that you would address it with your primary care physician.
Oh, that's crazy. Hey, how long has Wahiawa General Hospital been there? Has it been there for a while? It's been like
Yeah,
30 years?
over 70 years.
70 years?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
What?
I know. I mean, obviously I'm biased, but it's such a great hospital.
Wow.
And, it's we're constantly just trying to keep up with the times, as I know all hospitals are. And what's great is we try to, really cater it towards our community. And another great thing that I just want to point out is we have free parking.
Oh, there
So,
you go.
I
That's
mean,
that's awesome.
I mean, come on, that's a big thing, I think.
Yeah, it is.
So that's you have all these great services right here, and that's why when we say quality care close to home, that's what we mean, and we really look to our mission and vision statement of the idea of keeping it like that, but also keeping up with the times, remembering our community and who we serve, and just keep moving forward with that.
That's funny. I didn't expect you to say that. I'm wondering if do you have any original doctors that from 70 years ago are still there? There are some doctors that just keep working. I don't know. I know of a cardiologist over at Queens who's like maybe 80 years old and he's still doing surgery. A little scary, but he was considered one of the best ever. But I'm just like looking at him going, you should probably retire soon.
It's the idea that not it's whatever you're comfortable with.
Right,
Right?
right.
It's
That's funny.
there's no wrong answer,
That's
but
cracked me
yeah,
up. Hey, can
yeah.
I do a really quick break and then come we can finalize our conversation. You can give me
Sure.
some good insight on your final thoughts, and then we can say thank you for your time. Okay, give me a few seconds here. All right, we'll be right
Sounds
back.
good.
You don't need to be a member of a gym to get your health and fitness back on track. Be Fit for You with a Be Fit for Health online personal training and nutrition program. With 30 years of personal training experience, Biyanka will help you better yourself and be fit for health. For more information or to schedule a free wellness consultation, visit befit4health.com for more.
Okay, we are back. We're back with Linda Kurihara, and she is the I can't say it now. So,
It is a hard word, though. It is.
yeah, my brain just stopped on you. I am so sorry. Yeah, she is in charge of the ancillary services at Wahiawa General Hospital. Wow. I think I need another second cup of coffee here. Um, so, it's been really interesting to talk to you about all the things that you do there and the technology that you guys have at Wahiawa General Hospital. I think it's been really an eye opener for me, and I'm sure for a lot of other people who don't know what it's like to be in that community. Like I said, I was there for a short minute, being the general manager at one of the vitamin stores there, and I was so loving the customers that were coming through the doors because I felt them to be so much aloha. What I experienced when I first came to Hawaii in 1975, it was that, and I felt like I was back in time, and not in a negative way, in a positive way with modern expectations, obviously. But, like I said, that community is special. And I think your hospital being 70 years old is also very special. You guys have been there for a long time. So, everything that you're lucky. I want to say I want to say you're a lucky girl for being able to work there and having that community around you. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you giving us the information about the new technology on the bone scan with the DEXA. I think that's something I'm going to take away from this too, because the DEXA technology, being able to scan your body for your bone density as well as your entire body system to see what's good, what's not. I will be talking with my doctor to see if that's something feasible with my
Hmm.
insurance,
Right. Right.
right?
Right. Hmm.
Yeah. So any wisdom, any words of wisdom from you when it comes to whether it's our breast cancer mammogram screening, whether it's our health in general with this pandemic. Um, Anything you want to give our audience as far as a small kind lecture?
Yeah. I guess my biggest message I wanted to say to everybody is, it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it's the idea of a preventative month, and it's the idea of being proactive. We definitely want to celebrate awareness, but also we want to celebrate the ability to take control of our health, and that can start today. And it's like we were talking about, Bianca. It's the idea that it's like going to the dentist. You understand what happens if you do go, but you also understand if you don't go on a routine basis. And
Right.
that's the same with a lot of these outpatient services. And I didn't even highlight cardiopulmonary services. So it's the idea that, again, get feedback once in a while to know
Mhm.
how things are going. That way you know what to do to make the situation better. I think we could always be better,
Right.
right? You can go to the dentist. Your dentist can say everything looks good, but you also know what you can do more of to make things better. And I think that this just outpatient services of the ones I discussed just highlights a little bit of that. And here at Wahiawa General Hospital, we have the services you need close to home and the experts to provide you the answers. And again, if we don't know the answers, we'll help you get the answers. So
Right.
it definitely starts with you. So please start the discussion with your physician if you haven't already. And if you're still not sure of having that discussion, give us a call and we can provide you more information. And I know, I don't know if you're going to mention our hospital line, but I just wanted
Yeah,
to mention that.
please do.
Okay, our number is 808-621-8411. Again, 621-8411, and that'll lead to our main hospital line, and they can help you direct you to the right department. It's the idea that we're here for you, and we can help you at least start with step one if
Yeah,
you're not sure. So
right,
I guess that would be my biggest message. This is also in along the lines of being in COVID that we can,
right, right.
you
I
know,
know you're
mhm.
there to support, you're there to help, and people can go to you guys for that information as well, or at least if they want to get tested, or if they need help with any concerns.
Right,
But you guys' website also has information. So it's wahiawageneral.org.
correct.
Okay, so
Hmm.
if they go to your website, they can get some of that information as well, right?
All that information I talked about is on our
Nice,
website under outpatient services, and it has
perfect.
other information as well. Yep.
So, all I can say is you've given me a lot to think about. I'm gonna put this interview, if people are tuned in, at second half of it or the last part of it, on my YouTube page, Be Fit for Health, so that they can listen to this again. And I will share this with you as well, because I think this is important information, for people to know that you guys
Hmm.
exist and you guys do these types of services. And it's good for them to know where to go, especially if they're close to that community. Um, but I do want to say thank you so very much for coming on the show and spending this much time with us. I think I had you on longer than I promised you to be on. That's what happens, by the way.
No,
You gotta get into a conversation, and then you
I
kind of get
enjoyed it.
going.
Yeah. No, I appreciate. Thank you so much, Bianca, for having me on your show. I had a great time.
Well, I'll have you again in the future. Just make sure that you don't go anywhere. Okay?
All right, we'll do.
You're awesome. Thank you so much, Linda.
Thank
All
you.
right, dear. So listen, guys. We had a great conversation with Linda, with the Wahiawa General Hospital, the doctorate of physical therapy. I'm going to give that kudos to her, because it's not easy to go through all that and then, come out sane. Anyone who gets a PhD is like, at the end of it, it's like, wow. But it's really interesting to me, because with everything that we're going through, with all the fears that we have about getting sick, and with all these mandates, it's just tiring, and people are getting stressed out. And I'm starting to see some of the repercussions with it, and it makes me really upset, at the same time concerned for everybody. I want you to know that it's not going to be as bad as you may think. I don't want people getting depressed, and to the point where financially they're tapping out. It's happening everywhere. It will get better. I feel like, we will have a light at the end of the tunnel sooner than later. I believe in that faith. I believe that we will come out on top. Just hang on tight, guys, because I know that this too shall pass, like it did before in 1918, when they had the Spanish flu. Yes, a lot of people passed away and a lot of people got sick, and it's sad and it's unfortunate. But humanity will survive this, and we will get better at this. I was mentioning too that it makes me very sad to say this, but the Honolulu Club closed. They are no longer in operations. It brings tears to my eyes, because I've worked there for 5 years. I've helped and been with an enormous amount of great people that were members and coworkers of mine. We had great personal trainers, one of the best in I would say, in the western side of this country. Really smart, brilliant people. Great manager, Nick Taylor, who ran the Honolulu Club, did a great job in coordinating everything there. We had some great managers there. Sarah Johnson, Derek Kamakini. We had uh, 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 I can't even think, 'cause I'm so upset about it. But anyways, we had Noel Robinson there. All those people, great, great, great. Veronica, Claudia, all those people that managed the departments, that did a great job in governing their membership and loving on everybody. I just wanted to take this time to say thank you to all the members that are members at the Honolulu Club. Thank you for embracing me, welcoming me, making me feel special as well. I will always cherish all the memories that we had there. And if you guys are still worried about fitness, don't be. There's trainers out there that can take care of you, including me. So if you need to get a hold of me, go to my website. I'd be more than happy to do a consultation with you guys for free and give you some advice on your health and wellness. But till then, please take care of yourselves, be well, and I wish you all the best. Aloha.